Pumpkin bread pudding is an easy homemade dessert recipe that's both sweet and savory, and it's full of fall flavors. Just a few ingredients and you've got yourself a delicious treat. I'll teach you how, so stick around. Aloha mai kako, my name is Relle and welcome to my kitchen where I like to share all my favorite Hawaiian and local recipes. And it's fall, so you know what that means? Pumpkin season and baking and all the warm spices. So today we'll be making some pumpkin bread pudding. It's a twist on my classic bread pudding recipe that's super yummy. If you want the original bread pudding recipe, that'll be linked in the description box below, along with all the instructions and ingredients for this recipe. So first, we're gonna start by putting a pot over medium-high heat. And to that, we're gonna add some milk. Totally up to you what kind of milk you wanna use. I just use regular cow's milk. I haven't tried like other milk alternatives. You can if you want. And then some evaporated milk. That'll go in. I should have took the whole top off. All right, hold on, that's taking too long. I don't know what made me think that I could just poke two pukas and pour it out. Live and learn. Try not to spill because that would be terrible. And then some butter. I'll just put that right in. Basically, you're trying to get the butter to melt, the milk to warm up, and everything to be all hunky-dory in there. So that'll go, and while that's going, we'll go ahead and cut up the bread. You can use any type of bread. Stale bread works best. I tend to not like to use sweet bread because it's a little bit too sweet. Don't get me wrong, I love a good sweet bread, but in this recipe, because it has all the added extras, too sweet for me. So it's one loaf of bread. If you've got leftover hot dog buns, hamburger buns, brioche, you totally can use that. So for me, I generally will just cube it up. So I usually cut it in half and then thirds this way. But honestly, it doesn't matter. And who cares if you smash it? Doesn't need to look pretty because what you're gonna do is put it into a tray like this. Spread it out. I like to put it onto a sheet pan. You don't have to, but sometimes when it bakes, it kind of bubbles and splatters. So the sheet pan helps keep the oven clean so I don't have to go and scrub it after. Fall is just, I don't know, it's one of my favorite seasons. I think I like the homey baking and all that good stuff. I grew up in the kitchen baking with my mom. My mom's a home baker, you know, she didn't, nothing that like she went to school for or anything like that, but it just really reminds me of when I was a kid and the holidays. My mom would always make fun stuff for me to take to school to share with my classmates and teachers for every holiday. And I like doing that too, but this year, my kid's school said I can't send any baked goods and things like that because of everything that's going on in the world. So I'm kind of bummed. So maybe we'll just make something at home for them. So that's like my favorite, like making Halloween treats, baked goods for them to take. But it is what it is. All right, last one. And put the end piece and everything in there. So basically, it'll look like this, and don't worry about it. When you pour in the filling, it'll sink down. So that's that. We'll set that aside. All right, now for the pumpkin mix. Of course, you're gonna need a can of pumpkin puree. You wanna make sure you get the plain pumpkin puree, not the pumpkin pie mix, because that's not the same thing. Pumpkin pie mix already has other things mixed into it. So that'll go in, the whole can. Probably should have scooped it out before. If you don't wanna use the canned stuff, you totally can make your own. But honestly, the canned stuff is pretty darn good. No judgment here. Okay. Then you're gonna need some white sugar, brown sugar, pumpkin pie spice. Now, this is store-bought. You totally can make your own if you want. The store-bought one, it's all already mixed in together. But if you wanna make your own, totally can. Then of course, you'll need a few eggs. And really, you should probably crack the egg into another container first because, and here I am telling you to do that, I'm not doing it. But I've had times where you've had a, not so great egg and you crack it into your mix and you end up wasting the whole mix. but I didn't grab another bowl for it. So I'm banking on everything being okay, and I totally dropped the seed in it. I mean a shell, not that one, another one. So trick for the shells, you can wet your finger, but I did not. So we'll leave this blooper in because we don't want shells. That wouldn't be so great. Hold on, let me rinse off my hands, I'll be right back. Okay, pumpkin mix, you're gonna mix all of that together. And you just wanna mix it until everything is well incorporated. It'll be a thick mixture. It'll smell like pumpkin pie. So that's that. Now, in this pan here that we were, pot, we were melting down the butter. So the butter has pretty much melted through, the milk has heated. So now we'll want to add the milk mixture into the pumpkin mixture to give it that like custard mix. The trick is not cooking the eggs. So you want to, what we call temper, which means putting a little bit at a time. Hold on real quick. Forgot this. You'll want to temper it, which means putting in a little bit of the hot mix at a time, so that way it doesn't cook it through, because nobody wants scrambled eggs. So basically I just go 1 scoop at a time. And usually it's a scoop and mix kind of a deal. So pour and stir as we go. And once you've got a few ladles in, it's not as bad because it's tempered, it's come up to temperature. So you can start to pour it in a little more quickly. With regular bread pudding, you have to be a little bit more careful of getting the eggs cooked, but because this has the pumpkin in it, you can go a little bit quicker. So now that we've got a few ladlefuls in there, you can kind of feel the bowl that it's in, and it'll start to get warm. And when that happens, then you can just pour the rest in. All you gotta do is mix that up. It smells so good. There's just something about pumpkin pie spice that just is so homey and fall, and I have a candle of it and it's so good. I had it on, in fact, the other day. My husband's like, "Oh, what are you baking?" Nothing, sorry. It was just the candle. All right, so it's thinned down pretty good. It'll look like that. Now, we'll take the bread and you just kind of spread it out like that. And what you'll want to do is pour the mix over. Now, with a regular bread pudding, you can kind of just pour it in the middle and it spreads out. But because this is a thicker custard, you have to make sure you kind of spread it out. Otherwise, it'll all pool in one section and it doesn't work so great like that. So I always kind of start on one side and make a mess. This bowl doesn't have a spout. So when I try to pour slowly, it just like drips down the side. But you wanna try and get it to get on as much of the bread as possible. And then what you can do is take your whisk, your spoon or whatever, and kind of just push it down. It's gonna break up the bread a little, but don't worry. But that helps get that custard onto the top because everything kind of sinks down because of the weight. And I spilt over the edge, which is nice that I have the tray to kind of catch it. So you'll put that into the oven, preheated to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and it's gonna bake for 1 hour. So I'll put that in and we'll be back when it's done. If you could smell this, oh my goodness. So be right back. And after 1 hour in the oven, we've got this delicious pumpkin bread pudding. Eat this a la mode with some vanilla ice cream. You can put like a vanilla syrup over the top. So yummy. If you try this recipe, let me know. If you like this video, please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe to my channel by hitting that red subscribe button down below. And until next time, ahui ho!